Hello everyone and welcome to another YouTube video. Today I will show you every counter for every single brawler. So if you ever wondered, bro, how am I beating this OP Kanji of his goddamn cat whatsoever, this is the video you need so you know what brawler to pick and ranked when you see like an OP brawler or whatever brawler, or also what could be pretty good in the solo shoutout meta right now, for example. So yeah, both for ranked and ladder warriors. This will help you, and now let's get started with the video. The first brawler is Shelly as always, and here as a counter I decided to pick Surge. Unfortunately the gadget is only blocking one projectile, but beside that with the jump, later with stage 3 and 4 you can just outrange Shelly easily, keep her away from you, do a good counter jump against her super, and so on and so on. So many things to do with Surge. And now we have Nita, and here I've chosen Dynamite. You most likely play Nita on maps with walls, and then you can also play throwers. So if like your opponent is picking Nita and you have the last pick, for example, then just go for Dynamite. You have a free lane. Nita won't be able to do much. You do very good DPS against the bear in case that she should get one. So nothing to do for Nita. Third is Cold, and he's definitely being countered by Buster. Buster just activates his shield. All the projectiles are coming back at Cold, so he basically kills himself. So yeah, Buster is a great brawler against brawlers with a lot of projectiles. Against Bull, I would recommend Griff or a damage dealer at all. Could also be like Lou with the Frozen stun. He can literally block Bull's super, which is crazy in my opinion. But there are also brawlers like Clancy, for example, is also a damage dealer. Is so good against this brawler. Bull's not really in the meta. And now we get to Brock. You can counter Brock by being in mid-range of his attacks. It's way easier to dodge in mid-range. If Brock has you on the max range of his main attack, then you will really struggle to actually dodge his shots. Max is a really good brawler here with the high speed, especially with the super. You won't have any problems by beating a Brock. And for Primo, I went for Stu, because Stu can always dodge Primo's super. It's not hard to get Stu super at all, so you have a lot of movement, which should be pretty good against Primo, because the only thing he can do is most likely just jumping on you. You can dodge that with your super and you're fine. Then we have Barley, and yeah, that's a no-brainer. I put Mortis here, or any kind of assassin, like also Miko, Kenji, just assassins. They are in general very good against throwers. You guys know that. So let's move on to Poco. Poco also has a lot of counters, especially if it's like a 1v1, but the hardest counter is probably Sam or tanks in general, but I go with Sam here because you have no chance to even kill a Sam when he's healing himself. So if you just keep healing yourself, a Poco cannot even kill you. There's literally no harder counter like that. He's unkillable. Then we have Rosa. I face Rosa so often in Showdown, and yeah, Shelly is definitely a pick you want to take. You can cycle your super easily on a Rosa, even with shield, you know, give her one knockback with that super, do 2 more main attacks, super again. With hypercharge, it's even easier. And for Jessie, I decide for Barley, because turret can be very annoying, but Barley on a map with walls, you know, 2 main attacks on that turret and it's down, not being annoying at all. That's great. So always make sure to have a thrower in your team when you face against a Jessie. Since Bibi has so much speed, she's a very nice counter against Dynamite. That makes it kind of impossible to predict the movement of a Bibi, because even if you're not very good at reading or dodging at all, like the Bibi speed will help you so much not getting hit by Dynamite. A counter for Tick is pretty hard to find, but I decided to go for Manny, because if Tick has no shield gear, Manny is one-shotting with her super. And yes, since she has a lot of range, I think that's a good answer to this brawler. But I also do think that high HP rangers can be a good answer to Tick. Same for 8-bit, like I think Penny is a good answer here because of the mortar. 8-bit doesn't have much movement speed, so it will be even harder for him to dodge the cannon because he's so slow. For Rico, it was very simple. We just want to break the walls against Rico. He's so strong because of walls, because his main attack can bounce, obviously. So if we have a Cold or a Griff, for example, like just break in general, Rico will definitely have way less value. Against Daryl, with Cordelius, you can just simply cancel the super. Okay, I think there's a bug with Cordelius. We just tried that and somehow Daryl doesn't get interrupted with his super. I don't know if that's a bug, but yeah, we also have stuns that can cancel super. So the Daryl will roll into me now, just like this. We can cancel that with Fang. So yeah, Now we want to have a counter against Penny, because Penny is quite strong right now. And yeah, I think a thrower in general, now I decided for Barley, but throwers in general can just take down the turret, like a Larry and Lori, for example, like a Barley, Willow. I do not recommend Dynamite, because you do want to have some more range to get that mortar down. But yeah, throwers work pretty well here. For Carl, just use Buzz. You know, the stun will cancel the super of Carl. He cannot really do much. Even if he dashes away with the gadget, we'll still follow him and kill him like that. So stuns in general, crazy good against Carl. For Jackie, I went for Frank, especially with that gadget that makes you immune to stuns. You don't have to fear Jackie at all. Definitely not. You can just farm your super there, keep stunning her. Pretty broken brawler against Jackie. I didn't really know what counter could be possible for Gus. It was so hard for me to find a counter to Gus, which actually proves how underrated and strong Gus is right now. And so I decided to go for Hank. I imagine a Gus and gem grab. And if we have walls, I don't know, then that might be the only answer I had for this brawler. Like a lot of HP. I can aim over walls. That was the best thing I could imagine of. Maybe you guys have a better counter for Gus. You can tell us that in the comments. And against Bo, usually you play Bo as mid laner. So I think a Piper is outranging Bo anyway, and he won't be too much of a problem. In Showdown, it's a different thing. So if you play Bo in bushy maps, then be aware of buses, because buses really counter Bo hard, because with that vision gadget, you have more vision as a bus, which means when you're just checking the mid or whatsoever, a bus will see you before you see him, and then the stun is coming and you're already dead. So that's for Showdown. Then we have Ems. I think it must be Morris. You do have 4 gadgets with Ems and the hypercharge now, so you can always use a gadget, but I think even with the gadgets, not really easy to kill a Morris. And if you have no gadgets left, then yeah, it's just over. Then we have Stu, and Ruffs or Terror will be very helpful against the Stu, because with the sandbags or the Terror Shadows, for example, or the Charlie Spiders also, you have way better chances to beat this brawler, because he cannot cycle super that simple. The best, like the very best counter for Piper is Nani with that back to sender gadget. Deals so much damage to Piper, which doesn't really want you to make a shoot at a Nani. The brawler that counters Pam the best is Crow, I believe, because Crow lowers the healing. So the Pam turret is not useless, but way less strong. So I think Crow is always a good answer to a healing combo. And the best counter for Frank, obviously, is Colette. For Bibi, it is Buzz again, because you can just stun a Bibi without any problem. You know, I think if you play Buzz and you see a Bibi, you most likely have a free kill. Unless that Bibi hits a perfect knockback, but that's very unlikely. Brawl that counters B is Jessie, because Jessie has a turret and it's really annoying and frustrating. Just keep shooting that turret with a 1k damage hit. Yeah, it's quite frustrating, especially against the Jessie hypercharge. You don't really stand a chance, and that's annoying. The best counter against Nani is Jean, because yeah, I just said it. The back to sender gadget just works for 1 projectile. So if you have a brawler with a lot of projectiles like Jean, you don't have to be scared of the gadget at all. And you're also outranging a Nani, which is really important. The best counter against Edgar, I mean, we have many counters against Edgar, just something that is good against assassins. And the best one is probably just Gale with that Twister gadget, the super, the star power. You're equipped against the Edgar, and yeah, if you have any game sense, you won't lose that in 100 out of 100 rounds. Rom also has a lot of counters, but Van, the biggest one, probably also a brawler like Miko. She can jump and dodge the Grom attacks like that. I think that's pretty good against him, so decide for Miko. And against Bonnie was also hard to find a counter here, but I think Maisie's probably a good counter, because with your super, you can counter that Bonnie super play. And since she's quite slow, it makes it much easier to hit your shots with Maisie, and hitting shots with Maisie is not the easiest thing. Okay, I decided to go for Lola. Lola is not a meta brawler, but I think she's still outranging a Gale, and I think it is a good answer to Gale. Yes, we also do have other brawlers, like just Jean, for example, or Thrower, you know, it depends on the situation, but overall, I think you're doing nothing wrong with a Lola. And if you have a better counter for Gale, then make sure to tell us in the comments. For Colette, we want to choose low HP brawler. That's B or Tick, for example. If you don't use your super on a Tick, then you won't even be able to get a Tick down if the Tick plays that star power that lets him heal faster. Anyway, just low HP brawler. Colette won't do a lot of damage, which is good. Against Belle, I decided to go for Piper. It's our 35th brawler, by the way. I think on the mid lane, yeah, Piper is just better. If you play the longer range gadget on Piper, then you will just be able to hit a free kill there. So you can see that Bull is a great counter against Ash. If you have that gadget, you will always be able to get an Ash out of the game. Of course, you don't have really much splash damage, so it's not that easy to get rid of his robots, but his robots are not really that strong, and even if he's full rage, you still have way more than enough damage to get an Ash down easily. So yeah, definitely a counter for me, but if you have a different opinion about that, let us know in the comments. Against Lola, Belle is great. The main attack allows you to bounce the shots from her clone and the actual characters. So just hitting your main attack once will deal a lot of damage. For Sam, I decided to go for Gale again. Not sure if we have anything better for Gale, but I think you could just camp the gloves, for example, or you can avoid, like, if that Sam is just throwing his gloves away or like tries to engage, then yeah, you can just use the Twister gadget. Super, everything is ready, and Sam won't be really able to do any play with his gloves. A Mandy counter is hard to find, but yeah, the best option I think is Nani, because if her super is going to hit you, you can just click back to sender, dodge it like that, and also Buster. So Nani and Buster are the best counters here. Of course, Buster can also just block the super. For Maisie, you wanna pick Melody or Stu, just a brawler with a lot of movement, so it makes it even harder for Maisie to predict your movement. You can always react better, you always have the movement ready if a Maisie is hitting her shots, and you want to have movement against this brawler to make Maisie's life even harder. Moe is basically still one of the best brawlers in the game, but with that knockback, you can dodge Hank's attack and also cancel his main attack. So yeah, if he has a super, then you cannot just, you know, stay into him, but I still think it's a great counter just because that you can dodge the main attack and also cancel it. And also with the super, Hank probably won't be able to kill you unless you're like right in the hitbox, like getting every single projectile. But with a bit game sense, that won't happen. Best counter for Pearl, I decided to go for Mac because Mac has a lot of HP. Probably not even outranging Pearl, but honestly, I just didn't find the better counter. I was thinking about Pam because Pam is stealing Pearl's ammo, so you may consider playing Pam here instead of Mac, but that was like the best brawler I could pick here. And for Larry and Laurie, we had a whole meter, and Edgar was always the best pick against Larry and Laurie, and I would say it's still like that. No matter if Larry and Laurie are on the field, you can just jump in with Edgar and kill both of them with a lot of DPS and additional healing. It's pretty decent. Terra, in my opinion, counters Angelo because Angelo needs to charge his shot, and yet to kill actually 3 Shadows of Terror, it's kinda hard. Problem is, Angelo can escape through lakes, which means like that, Terra wouldn't do too much. Pretty hard to find a counter against Angelo again, because Eve is not really a counter. She can also walk on water, but Angelo is like the better version. Probably it will be the new brawler Shade. That's my guess. So we can just put Shade here. Obviously cannot show you any gameplay at this point, but still he can also walk on water and shoot through walls, which is great. Best counter to Barry is Lily probably. I think you are able to just two-shot the Barry in combination with your super. That should work out. And for Morris, I went for Jackie. No matter what you do, so no matter how much skill you have, you definitely cannot kill a Jackie in a 1v1 at least. As soon as you dash into the Jackie, no matter if you have super, you will just click auto aims 3 times and you're dead. Willow is a great counter to Terra. I mean, here again, basically any thrower, but I decided to go for Willow, so we have just different type of brawlers here also. But yeah, you definitely also can play like Barley, Larry and Laurie, etc. Then we have Jean on the list. His biggest counter I think is 8-bit, because I imagine Jean and 8-bit both in gem grab, and if you just use your gadget, you can dodge a pull like that. Even if you get grabbed and they don't have too much DPS, then you still would be able to port back to the turret. You have a lot of HP against the Jean auto attack, so I think 8-bit is a pretty good answer here. For Max, we go for Crow because Crow can lower the movement speed, also the super. Very good counterplay. For Mr. P, we have Bonnie. So why Bonnie? Because Bonnie can just jump on Mr. P whenever she is super, and also against the robots, she has unlimited ammo. So it's so annoying if you play like Piper and you need 2 shots for P turret or even 3, but then you have Bonnie that just has unlimited ammo and you won't struggle too much with the P robots. For Sprout, I think like any kind of assassin is a big counter to Sprout, and the best one is probably Kit. No, just jump on a Sprout. What is he supposed to do? He can do nothing. It's basically a free kill, so yeah. And against Byron, you could say Crow again because of the healing, but I don't think like Crow is the best answer to Byron. I think it's actually Piper. If you play Byron mid and that's the same like as with Bell. Byron is too short, just hit 2 taps and you have your lane 1. With the right gadget, you actually only need to hit 1, activate the gadget immediately, you have a free kill immediately. So strong in Bounty, that matchup. And yeah, Squeak, like it's not even Morris or something. I think you can free shot Morris with Squeak if you have the damage gear and the damage star power. If the Morris plays shield, then it could be 4 hits, depends on when your damage gear pops off. But yeah, overall, I decided to go for Grey Van because you cannot really zone a Grey if he has super, and also the gadget is quite dangerous, can outplay you through walls. And for Lu, I decided for Sprout. Lu, you most likely play in Hot Zone, and Hot Zone maps do have walls. I don't really remember Hot Zone map without walls. I mean, there was some, but very rarely. And yeah, Sprout is a very good answer then. Same thing is for Ruffs. Sprout, really good counter because you just have a longer range. If you bounce your Sprout shots with the wall, then you can literally outrange the Ruffs. Same with Rico. Rico's like better version of Ruffs. Best counter for Buzz then is Charlie. No, the super is so OP. Could be also for Daryl or, you know, Carl, for example. Like there's so many brawler that Charlie can counter easily. Problem is Charlie lost even more range now and is pretty weak in the meta. And I don't think she will get buffed at all because yeah, her super is very strong still, and buffing the brawler again, I don't know how that ends. The best counter against Fang is Otis with the super. If Fang engages, you ruin his fun and just have a free kill on him. Best counter for Eve, I decided to go for Janet. Pretty crazy because Janet is one of the worst brawlers right now. But against the hatchlings, I don't know how it's called, like the little things, the babies, Janet can outplay that really well with the splash damage. And against Janet herself, we have Cordelius as a counter because I think you want to avoid Janet supering or using her gadget. So I think Cordelius might be a very good option. You won't be free shotted against a Janet, so that definitely helps you getting this brawler down easily. Then against Otis, I decided to just go for Larry and Lori again, just a thrower. Could work pretty well against him. Also, I think Rico is a good alternative here, like any kind of thrower or Rico, because Otis probably played on maps with a lot of walls because that's where you play Fang. And then on the other hand, if you have a thrower, you have a very good lane against Otis, so this is my train of thought here. For Willow, I went for Buster just because you can throw over the shield, can be also any kind of thrower here, that can shoot through the shield. Against Gray, I think Leon is a great brawler. Why is that? Leon has good movement speed, so dodging a Gray is even easier, and it's pretty tough to hit a main attack against Leon anyway. So I think with the gadget, which he can block the gadget and normal main attack, and if Leon is in this, he's a monster anyway. Tough to find an RT counter, but yeah, it must be a thrower. I decided for Dynamite because he has good DPS, hitting that stun, being able to kill that RT quite quickly with the super. But yeah, not too much that I could recommend here except for thrower because RT is very, very strong. Then we do have Willow, and I think you can counter Willow the best with another thrower that just has more range. So Larry and Lori, for example, or like Barley. I think Barley should also have a bigger range, but I'm not so sure about that. But yeah, with more range, your life is much better with this matchup. Duck has so many counters, to be honest. But yeah, the biggest one from all of them, Clancy is definitely the best one. With the super, he's lasering any brawler, dude. And since Duck is a melee anyway, he needs to engage at some point, and then you just hit your super with Clancy and it's done. GG. For Chuck, you play him in highs. His only goal is to keep using these train stations. You play Charlie or Cordelius, so he cannot make use of his super anymore and not deal any damage to your highest save. For Charlie, again, I picked throwers because of the spiders. You know, throwers are the best answer to that. Larry and Lori, for example. For Miko, I think Miko itself is a counter to Miko. Sounds weird, but let me explain. The first one who jumps is dead. So if you just wait with Miko until the other Miko jumps, then you're going to counterplay her. So that's why I decided that Miko is actually countering Miko. But also, I have another brawler for you, and that's Chuck. Chuck can also steal ammo. Chuck can dodge Miko. And I think it's definitely one of the best answers to counter this brawler. For Melody, I decided for Cordelius because Melody has so much movement speed. She's really relying on a super. And what brawler can deny supers? Of course, it's Cordelius. So that's why I put him here. For Lily, I decided to go for Jackie because, yeah, if you super Jackie, then you're dead. Also dealing damage to yourself. Cannot really sneak into Jackie. You can deal a lot of damage in a short time, so you can like kill a half-life Jackie. But yeah, we're talking about full life against full life, and Jackie would definitely win that. I think that counters Clancy. It's not so easy because on stage 3, I think nothing can counter Clancy. But if I have to decide for a brawler that can avoid Clancy actually giving him stage 3. Then it is Mr. P with the robots. Clancy's not really reloading quite fast, so I think Mr. P robots can really annoy this brawler. If he's stage 3, as I said, I think no brawler in the game is countering Clancy. Maybe like a Cordelius with hypercharge, but come on. Like, I don't know. For Moe, tough one because he's one of the strongest brawler in the game, but I think we have new balance updates, so he probably got another nerf. We have Miko. Why the hell Miko? Moe doesn't deal a lot of damage in close range unless you hit perfectly, but that's more rare than common, I would say. And I was definitely struggling. I don't want to say Cordelius all the time, but yeah, you could also play Cordelius to avoid the super of Moe. As you can see, Cordelius is a pretty good counter to a lot of brawlers because he can just deny supers, and it's pretty important. Spike is getting countered by curveball dodgers. So if you can dodge curveball, you're fine. But then I would say Moe, pretty good counter against him. If that's still the case after the nerf, I don't know. Then tell us in the comments what else works against Spike. For Crow, I decide that Penny is a good counter. We have the barrel to dodge the attacks. We have a mortar. So Crow definitely doesn't have that much map control anymore. Good counter against Leon is Fang because with the gadget, no matter what gadget Leon plays, Leon can never block your super, you know? So if he does that, you will just directly get sent to Leon at the end of the day, unless you hit Leon first, but still then it should be a free kill. Leon cannot really do much here. And for Sandy, we have Nita because Nita just has most likely the same range as a Sandy. The bear is a huge counter because Sandy cannot kill him. And if Sandy hits you, you're also going to hit Sandy. You have more HP, you have more damage, and you have the better super against Sandy. For Amber, I went with Pam because Pam's ammo stealing gadget, you know, hit one good gadget with Pam and Amber is entirely useless and has no more ammo. You immediately win the battle. Then we have Mac, and I think Ash is a good brawler against Mac. I never had any problems winning against Mac with Ash. He deals so much damage. Just farm your rage on her. Be a bit careful if she has super, but still shouldn't be too much of a problem. Then we have Surge. Only thing I can imagine a counter, like when Surge is like, or with Stage, for example. Only thing that really counters him is like Cordelius with hypercharge, I guess. At least in Showdown. In 3v3, well, tough one, honestly. Maybe Chester. Chester has 4 different supers. You never know if you can go in. You have the poison, you have the stun, you have the bomb. So you can do a lot with Chester against Surge. So yeah, when Showdown is Cordelius in 3v3, definitely more like Chester. But Surge one of the best brawlers, so it's pretty tough to counter him. Then the counter against Chester is Pearl, I think. He does have a lot of HP. And if a Chester comes close, she can easily just super him out of the planet. So I think Pearl definitely should be a good pick here. If you face a Cordelius, you're like, oh my god, Cordelius like countering so many brawlers. Nita is your way to go. Same reason as with Sandy. Same range, maybe even more range. I think it's even more range. The bear's pretty good. If a Cordelius shadows you, you don't have to worry too much. You have a very good main attack that still gives you pretty good defense against Cordelius. Against Kid, I went for Barry because if a Kid jumps on you, all you gotta do is hitting a main attack on yourself. First of all, you will heal up, like getting full HP again, and the Kid will constantly get damage. With every second, you do have a super to get away. You do have a gadget to knock back Kid. So Barry is a Kid killer. Yeah, also RT. So RT is also definitely a counter to Kid. But in the first place, I wanted to put Barry here. But RT definitely also great answer to Kid. So for Draco, I also decided to go for Pam. Because if Draco gets into his other form, you can use your ammo gadget and steal all of his ammo. And the last brawler of this list is Kenji. Definitely Clancy. He can shred this brawler in a second. Unless Kenji supers, so then we definitely want to have a different brawler like Bull, for example, that can wait until Kenji's super is over and hit a good timing to immediately hit him to get him down. Alright, that's it with the list. What's every brawler's counter? I hope you enjoyed it. If you have some additional recommendations, let me know in the comments. If you liked this video, leave a like. And if you didn't, leave a dislike. Thank you so much for watching. Your SnakeThug. Peace.